Looking for the winner. Elliot's cross! And James McFadden!
Look out for an Everton again! He's done it again! James McFadden scores for Scotland!
Welcome to today's podcast where I'm joined by Scottish footballing legend James McFadden. James, appreciate you coming on. I'm excited to have somebody that's actually played down south. I want to talk to you about the football career. Obviously, some mad stories. We'll start with Motherwell. You came through at Motherwell. I just want to ask you, how did the Motherwell thing come about? Were you there as a youngster?
Yeah.
Aye.
I was there before the kind of academy structure and system, if you like. You used to play your boys' club and go and train with, I've just said stay away with the academy, but go and train with the professional teams, pro youth, train with different teams on different nights. You weren't tied to anybody like now. You can go into an academy at, I think, 6 or 7 year old, and that's you're in, that team, and you don't go anywhere else. You could train with anybody really. There was nobody that could control that. So I think I was about 12 or 13 maybe. Used to go and train, play my boys' club, go and train under the away stand at Fir Park. So it's a big, under the stand there's a big long kind of gym area, the length of the stand. So we used to train indoor or on the AstroTurf behind Fir Park a couple of nights a week. And that was, I think I was about 12 or 13, so again, still play with your boys' club. And
Could you play with your school in that back then as well?
Aye. You played school, boys' club, Enton. You played Enton, wherever you could.
7 days a week?
It was, because I was training, at the start it was just Motherwell, and then I was at Hearts, trained with Hearts, let's say it was a Monday and a Thursday, and my boys' club on a Tuesday and a Friday. Then I'd left Motherwell actually for a spell, went to Hearts. You play Saturday morning for the school, Saturday afternoon for your boys' club, Sunday for one of the pro youth teams, and then it was just games and training constantly. And then I went back to Motherwell about 14, 15, and then that was it.
So see, when you were leaving Motherwell, did you ever think there was a point there I'm no good enough for Motherwell, or was it just, what were you flitting about?
I wasn't enjoying it. I was at that point it went, they didn't have a team as such. You were just training, you maybe play friendlies, but it wasn't in a league. They decided to go into a league. I wasn't playing and I wasn't enjoying it, so I left to go to a boys' club, went to West Park, and for there, Hearts they'd seen me, signed an S form with Hearts. Same thing, went there, didn't really enjoy it, went back to West Park, and when I'd left West Park, big guy that was at Motherwell, Paul Smith, I was always in touch with him. He's like, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm going back to play with West Park," and he's like, come back to Motherwell," and I went back, and that was it.
Straight in, nearly. You get in at a young age, but didn't you?
So I went back about 15, maybe under 15s anyway, coming to that point where you're then, it's real when you're looking at potentially going full time, getting a YTS. I went down and trained I had a trial at Ipswich, Sunderland, went up and trained at Aberdeen, but I knew I was going to sign with Motherwell. Signed with Motherwell at 16. I think the first league game of the season, I was in the first team squad for a game, a match day squad, but it was hamper boy at that point, so you actually had to do jobs which I don't think any of them do. I don't think half of them even clean boots, which I think is wrong, but I made my debut at 17.
Mad.
And kind of
went for there.
A wee bit, aye. It was tough, but...
What was the wages like at YTS with the...
£70 a week.
£70 a week?
Aye.
The only reason I asked that is I was a skill seeker when I left school, and it was fucking 40 quid a week in a garage.
They changed it for the YTS, but to skill seeker's allowance it was, but aye, £70 a week for the first year, and then I think 90 for the second.
So obviously you started out in Motherwell, done really well, you were winning all your awards for Player of the Month and all that, and was it about 60 odd games you played for Motherwell before you get your move to Everton?
I think so. A year and a half, I think. when I came into the Motherwell, my YTS, we had guys like John Spencer, Don Goodman, Sean Teal, Jed Brannan, Pat Nevin. I've probably missed a few younger players like Lee McCulloch and Steve McMillan. So it was like brilliant players, guys that played, you know, at the top level. And then the club went into administration, or they changed the approach of paying the big wages for the big name players. Billy Davis had left, and Eric Black came in, and in that kind of transition period, Eric Black just kind of let everybody have a chance to impress, and I seemed to impress him. Came to January time, and I found myself, I'd never really played as a striker, I found myself playing as a striker. I had a run of games where I think I scored 6 goals in 4 or 5 games, and then all of a sudden I was a striker, and a main player in the team that early. I think I was 18 maybe when I made my first breakthrough into playing every single week. So then it was a season and a half I had. Club went into administration, it was a lot of bother. Terry Butcher took over, he was brilliant, and I've had my first full season. So I don't know, I think it'd be roughly 60 odd games, and then I was away.
And that's just purely because of the financial side with the club, probably?
I think definitely, well, I don't know, because Billy Davis, as I said, they had to change the approach at the start of that season, and I wasn't playing every week, but I was part of the first team squad, and then Billy left and Eric Black came in, so I got myself into the team before that hit. But there had been, you know, a downgrade of the squad in terms of the wages they were paying, the name calibre of players we were bringing in. So that helped me get my opportunity. But then when it came into administration, it was totally young, like mostly young players with a few older ones, experienced ones. Scott Leach was still there. He was great for all the younger players. But I think I probably got away with people kind of forget a lot of shit performances because you had no option really, and it certainly benefited me because I got a run of games in the team, managed to get into the Scotland squad, and then get a move to the Premier League straight from Motherwell, which probably was because I was allowed to have the bad games and the bad moments.
Aye. So do you think when you went down south though with these circumstances, do you think it was too early, or do you think that was the right time to get down there?
No, I don't think it was. I think initially, when I went to Everton, David Moyes says, "Oh, you're one for the future." But I'd had a year and a half of playing in the first team. I'd had a year and a half of building up towards being, you know, the main player at Motherwell.
Aye.
I'd made my debut for Scotland. I wasn't there to hang about. I wasn't like, oh, I'll take my time and find my feet. I just thought I would go in there straight into the first team squad and fight for a spot. And that is what happened. I didn't play every week, but no, as soon as I got down, I realised it was a big step up in level. But I was confident I could deal with that. It was tough. It was tough getting used to the demands physically and technically. But you adapt. If you're good enough, you'll adapt, and I managed to adapt quick. So it wasn't. No, I didn't think it was too early. If anything, if the gaffer's watching, I should have played more when I was earlier.
Do you think, see when you said there, when you go down there and it's a step up, like for me, just as a football fan and stuff, you're looking at it going, like, skinny wee guys going down there playing against some of their 20-year-olds even are built different. They're absolute. Did you have to beast the gym? Did Everton say to you, you're going to need to build yourself up or anything like that?
No, I wasn't big and bulky. I wasn't, muscly, but I was strong. I'd never really felt. I'd never really ever felt lightweight. You noticed it in the tunnel. They were all like 6 foot. They were all like bigger than you seen on the telly, and you're like, I didn't realise how tall they were. And they are stronger and they're quicker. But your training gets you quicker. It gets you fitter. It gets you stronger. It gets you more power. And I wasn't put on a programme. I wasn't told you need to bulk up. You know you need to. But as I said, I'd already made my international debut. I knew that as much as I was never going to be the strongest or the biggest or the quickest, I still back myself. I still knew that maybe they'll look at this wee wiry, 20-year-old and think he's not got much about him. But I always had to use my strength. I was brought up playing the streets. You played with guys younger than you, guys older than you. You got kicked, you kicked people, you had to fight and scrap. It was nothing new to me, really.
Good. But one guy I need to ask you, Big Duncan Ferguson, obviously being Scottish, did he take you under his wing down there? Or?
No, he didn't.
No?
No, he didn't. He didn't take anybody under his wing. Big Dunk, he was... he was I got on great with him. I'm still in touch with him. Initially, I think that because he was a bit older, I have to say, with the young players coming through, particularly the Scousers, he was brilliant with. But he had to figure you out. He wanted. He was quite. He wouldn't ignore you or anything, but he wouldn't be like straight away. Right, come on, let's be best pals.
Aye.
He had to figure you out. He had to see what you had, and like personality and your ability. So he'd take his time to get to know you. But he was brilliant, even just to watch every day. Like first one in the gym every morning. Always done extra after training. Incredible physique. A brilliant professional, probably something that people don't really associate with him. He practiced his finishing every day, and it was like the goalies used to hate it because it was finishing that he very rarely missed because it was close into the goal and it was repetition. But then you see it in the game, you go, well, that's why he does it.
Aye. Because
his technique was unbelievable. But with a few Scottish players, with Davy Weir, Gary Naismith, Scott Gemmell, they looked after me more. Straight away, it was, I don't know what it is, and I done it when I got older. As soon as a Scottish guy comes in, I was obviously in the Scotland squads with them, so I knew them beforehand. But they're like, right, this is where you need to live. You need to do that. If you need anything, phone me. Let me know. It wasn't as easy as what it is now with the internet and stuff. We did have internet, but it wasn't as easy to use. But no, Big Dunk wasn't one that. He wasn't sociable at the start, but then you got his like kids' christenings and things like that. Part of once you're in the team with Big Dunk.
He's a great guy. But one other thing I want to ask you about Big Dunk, and I know this, my brother-in-law plays with Alloa, and he was playing against Big Dunk when he was at Inverness, and I always just thought Dunk was a pure screamer and stuff like that, but he's like, he never shouted or nothing, he was just quite calm. Was he like that at Everton as well? He
was actually, he wasn't like front and centre, like the banter, but he was always run about, or he didn't, he liked to get involved in it. He wasn't this psycho hard man that he'd butted the walls or anything. He worked hard. At times he took himself away. At other times he got himself right involved. At training, he would do the usual banter. He would encourage you. He would tell you. He would have a go at you. He was no this big aggressive hard man. He was all about the team. Dunk. He was. I think I was on the part for maybe half his red cards. I was certainly there for 3 or 4 of them. But there was one we were playing, it was Charlton. I can't remember the player. I think I've said it before, but I can't remember the player. It was either Kishev or Hariderson, and me and Duncan sitting on the bench, and one of them, whoever it was running about and smashing people and trying to bully people, and he just kept saying, "How does he think he is?" And I could hear him getting angry at the way this guy thought he was a hard man. So Dunk goes on. I don't know how long he's on for. Boy, he backs into the guy that's annoying him. He's probably targeted him. Backs into him. The guy must hit him or try and wrestle him, and he just whacks him, elbows him, takes a red card, walks off, and it looks as if that guy can't control himself. It's just annoyed at how he was treating his teammates.
Aye.
And that's just the way he was. He was very driven with him getting better, but as much as he never wasn't really in the middle, he loved the kind of dressing room environment and being part of a team, and he was a brilliant team player, and he'd obviously always try and look after his teammates. It was brilliant.
I would say he's probably misunderstood. See, after reading his book and all that came out, I was like,
definitely.
Because I had the picture, like, I loved him, just big hard guy, but I thought, man, you are actually quite misunderstood. He comes across.
Oh,
as a
he
great
definitely
guy.
is. He is. I think that if you look at, well, if you've read his book, then you'll know the treatment of him up here, feeling that he had to get away from it, the scrutiny that he was under, how badly he was treated,
Yeah.
you know, double punishment and all that stuff. Then you can understand, especially then when Scottish people are coming down, the guard's up, you need to figure out, you know, what their intentions are. I totally get that, but, you know, as a person, brilliant, sit in the bus, he'd play the cards, he'd sit and read his book on pigeons, and he'd get involved if you're going to race days, and he was part of the team. But I can understand why he was guarded, because the treatment that he suffered early on in his career was a disgrace.
Aye, no, I agree. But David Moyes was the man down there. Was he your first manager down there? Was he the one that took you down there?
Aye.
What was he like as a guy?
What was he like? Top manager. Like, all the stuff that managers are praised for and young coaches are praised for now in terms of their organisation, analysis, all of that, he had that anyway. The standards that he set, absolutely ridiculous. When I was younger, it was tough because of how much he wanted you to improve and how high a standard he set. It felt at the time that he was just always on your case. He was always telling you what you were shite at. He wasn't telling you what you were good at, and it's hard to deal with that.
Aye.
And it does make you better. You go through spells where you're not really concentrating on it because things are maybe going well for you and you're in a good place. When you're not in a good place, it's tough because you just think, there's nothing I can do here that he's going to ever say that's good. It's always, this isn't good. And I struggled at times with that, but it wasn't until I left and I got a chance to reflect on how good that actually was, because you could play a good pass or you could make a good decision, but he was always right. Don't think about that being good and settle. It was right. What can I do next to get better? So for that, in that respect, absolutely brilliant. Being young, try to find your way. It was tough at times, but and at times every player will tell you feel that it can be personal, but it isn't. It's no. It just feels like that time. So it was brilliant. Like the way that he worked, and probably still does, was amazing. He used to take the warm-ups. He'd do everything. He'd take the warm-ups for training. He'd take the warm-ups for games. He was so hands-on, a coach and a manager, that he'd just a control freak, but never get tired of driving a standard. There was never a day where you looked and went, Gaffer looks knackered. Gaffer looks like he can't be bothered. Never. He was always on it, and he's still probably always on it. In the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, he's away at 7 at night. His staff must be absolutely shattered, but he just never looks. He never looks as if he's lacking in motivation or drained the energy. Just always on it.
Was he, when you were saying like he was always on you, going, that's no good? Was he like that with everybody, or was it just you?
No, he was like that with. Some players could not do what they wanted, but I think it was more. He brought me down for Scotland, and I think he could see that throughout my whole career, youth all the way through, it was pass the ball, make better decisions, and I think he was trying to just get that where you were picking the right moments to dribble and the right moments to pass, and make sure that because of how we worked, and like every day was about improving, every single day, get better every day. So it was just that to make you better. So it was like that with a lot of people. When you're in the one getting it all the time, you're not really looking and going, oh well, that's all right, he's doing it to him as well. You're just thinking about what he's doing to you. But the standards, he'd send you in for training. If the standard wasn't right, he'd send everybody in. No, he's only doing it right, fuck off, get him, see you tomorrow.
Did you play with Gravison in that down there?
Aye.
Because I know he was obviously a madman. I've heard the stories about him doing all sorts. Was he? What would Moyes do to somebody like Gravison?
Try and do the same, but he didn't listen.
God.
So you'd set up tactically, right, this is how this team, we always done it, right, this is the team's strengths, the opposition strengths, this is how they build, this is what they do here, and we're going to try and stop that, this is how we're going to press them, this is how we're position we need to be in, and you'd shift and move shape, and Tommy would always just do what he wanted, and the manager would always say, stop, Tommy, you can't do that, this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, yes boss. Right, go. And he'd do what he wanted. Thomas, stop. This is not what I'm looking for. But he couldn't. He didn't listen. So the team, we knew he was like that, and you hoped that he would do it right sometimes, except that he's going to do it wrong sometimes.
Aye.
But for us and the people, the Celtic fans didn't get to see it. For us, he would win you a game. He could dominate games from midfield. He's passing, he could dribble, he was strong, he run forward, he scored goals, he'd create. Our team accepted that he could be a genius on his day. He could destroy people. And the manager had to kind of accept that because he was brilliant. He was like top class. But that's the challenge when you've got a group of players that some people are different and they respond and need treated in different ways.
So what was Liverpool like? I know it's obviously very like Glasgow. Well, I think it's like Glasgow. The people are like that. Did you find it quite easy to get down there, and just because it's quite like Glasgow?
Aye, it's probably the easiest, the best part and the most helpful part of moving away. The Scousers are very similar to Glaswegians. No, like very straightforward. Don't care if they'll say what needs to be said. Similar type of humour, and I think they've just got very similar characteristics. What made it so easy for me, because if you're a good person and you're the right person, they take you in as one of your own.
Aye.
They accept you. If you accept them, they'll accept you. Such a great city. The people that worked at the club, and I mean the ones that maybe don't get the credit, the ones behind the scenes. They have Everton tattoos, Everton daft, everything they wear's blue, and they hate, they don't wear red, and they don't like Liverpool, and they just love their club. If you go in and show respect to that, there's people I still keep in touch with now. I love going back down, and it easily, even the fans like after games, before games, during games. If you're not warming up right, they'll shout out and tell you, fuck's sake, at least look like you want to go on, and things like that. After the game, you were great today, you were shit today, just tell you, and it really helps you settle. I love getting back to see them.
Are you treated like a king down there?
No, I'm not treated like a king, but they are the best club that I've played for in terms of, in my experience, treating former players with, bringing them down and try to get them involved and do stuff for the club. In fact, they're the only club that asked me back to go and do stuff for them. So I love going down. My kids are Everton fans. I love whenever I'm asked down to go and do a Q&A in the lounge or just come down to a game. They always look after you.
So obviously you done well at Everton. What happened there in terms of moving on for Everton? Was that a kind of financial thing, or did you just feel your time was up there and wanted to try something different?
No, it definitely wasn't financial. I was just getting to the point where I needed to play every week, and I felt that it wasn't going to happen there. I don't regret leaving. In hindsight, I probably should have held on another 6 months, just to get another go. The club wanted to offer me a new contract, and I didn't feel it was fair that I was getting no rewarded, but I was going to get probably a decent wage rise, and my situation was going to be the same.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go and play. I wanted to play week in, week out. I wanted to feel important and part of the team. And I felt that I wasn't playing as much as I would like. So I made the decision to leave. I went to Birmingham with Big Eck, who obviously was management at Scotland, and I felt that he would have. Well, I knew that he would bring me in to be part of the team. I knew his management style. I liked it, and I wanted to go and play for him.
And what was that difference like going to Birmingham for Liverpool? Because for me, again, personally, I think the further south you go, it's too busy. Birmingham's a crazy place.
It was busy, but I mean, you're not staying right in the city centre. But I mean, the big difference. Everton were a team that their fans demanded certain things for you. They would let you know if they weren't happy. We'd a squad. We had a highly driven manager at Everton who finished fourth and finished in Europe, and the demand and aspiration was to play in Europe. When I went to Birmingham, they were fighting relegation. The demand was to stay up, but even going down, then in the Championship, then your demands to go and win the league and get up. When we go up, there was some fans saying they'd rather be in the Championship because you could win every week, which I found baffling. But not as many fans. Take nothing away, absolutely passionate about their club. They've obviously got big rivals in the city, similar in that respect. And I loved my time at Birmingham. Great club, similar to Everton in terms of people that work at the club are all Birmingham fans. They've got the tattoos. They just, you find that everywhere you go. The people that go and put the graft in for the clubs behind the scenes that are so passionate about their club. But it was a bit of a shift. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd had times at Everton where we were trying to fight relegation, but that's not where we should be. And then going at Birmingham, Big X signed some really good players. Good experienced players. We go up and go in the club's longest unbeaten run in the top flight, highest finish in the top flight, and he wins a League Cup. So massively successful. I had a great time there. Some friends for life as well at that club. But I mean, the decision, going back to the start, the decision was because I knew, or I felt that Alex McLeish would get the best out of me. I knew obviously they were paying a lot of money for me. That didn't mean I was going to start every week, but it meant that he thought I was a good player. So I wanted to go and play somewhere week in, week out, be a big part of something. I did that for the most part. Had some bad injuries that I still struggle with today, to be honest with you. But it was a brilliant club.
I was going to talk to you a bit about the injuries. Obviously, you said at the start you were playing 6-7 times a week out in the streets on concrete, probably on red ash and all the shite that I was doing as a kid. Do you reckon that was probably why you were picking up injuries, or do you think that plays any part in it?
I don't know, because it could. I mean, you're playing on the red ash, which is essentially concrete and stone. And you had to wear football boots. It was like you're wearing rubber screw-ins to play on it. It could. You're out in the street playing on concrete anyway, potentially. I don't know. You maybe just have an inherent weakness in certain areas. My knees seem to be, a problem area. I don't know. If it has, then it has. I wouldn't change it.
It was always enjoyable. Again, I'm a wee bit older than you, but it was just out in the concrete 7 days a week. We never had phones or fuck all to play with, or chap your mate's door and all that to see if
kids can't even do that anymore.
Aye,
you drop your reins off and they go, I'm not. That's right, there you go, that's where you're. No, I'm waiting for them to come get me. Shut my door. I'm not doing that.
I know, it was a big change days. But obviously you went to Birmingham, enjoyed it, had the success, and then where did you go after?
I went back to Everton.
Aye. You went to Everton 3 times, didn't you?
No, 2.
No, 2.
Motherwell
Motherwell 3 times.
I know, it's
went
hard
to
to
Everton
keep
twice.
up.
I know you went to Sunderland and all this, but you obviously flitted around different clubs, and obviously you were at Motherwell multiple times, Sunderland, and I know I've read in Wikipedia saying you were training with this, that, and the next thing as well. You obviously started to pick up injuries. What was, were you having to go and train with people after that? And
Aye. Well, so when I was at Birmingham, when I signed, it was a 3.5-year contract with a 2-year option. Mm-hmm. And the option was, it's always weighted in favour of the club. Obviously, it was a team that were looking like they were going to go down. When you go down, there's no guarantee you're coming up. I was coming in, they spent a lot of money for me, for Birmingham, probably on decent wages. And they're obviously trying to secure themselves. And then I'm looking at it, there was an option on my part, but I had to be fit and available for 50% of games, so a percentage of games, however it was. And so there was new owners come in, Chinese owners, all these big promises. Anybody that's supported a club that's got foreign owners that have not got a clue what they're doing, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They've come in with these big plans and bold claims that we're going to do this and we'll spend that and we'll sign this player and that player, and none of it happens. And ultimately they almost run the club into the ground. The mess for that was terrible for Birmingham, because it looked like they were on the way of getting a wee bit of security maybe in the Premier League, or a club that could have a good base, but anyway they came in and messed it up. But so the season before, I think I was coming to technically the last year of my contract before the option would kick in. We'd had, as I said, the 9th place finish with a great end to the season, unbeaten run, and then so you get to the end of the season, you think, well, unless you're taking my option, technically I'm out of contract in a year. We need to get the contract sorted. But they were like, no, we're focusing on bringing new players in. We're going to spend this and that. And I'm like, that's not really great. You've signed a lot of guys. For my situation, obviously you want to know what you're doing. You signed a lot of guys for the Championship, thinking if we do well, great. If we don't, then they're ready to go and win the Championship. Aye. But these guys had come in and they weren't on. They would still be getting paid well, but probably not on Premier League wages. Yeah. They deserve to be rewarded. And they didn't reward the group that had done well. They brought guys in 2, 3, 4 times the money that everybody else was on, that were hopeless, and didn't contribute and didn't actually help the group. That's no fair, didn't contribute. There was a couple of guys that were on big money that maybe didn't perform to the level that you would like, but had scored big goals and big moments that will always be remembered at the club. But my perspective was, right, I need to get my contract sorted. I don't want to be going into the last year no knowing either is my option being taken up, which is fine, or am I getting a new contract. And I think Alex McLeish, I spoke to him a couple of times, he's like, don't worry, we'll sort it. Anyway, start the season, I feel great, I'm in the best shape of my life. I had a brilliant pre-season, I felt fit as anything in the games, and 3 or 4 games in, I injured my knee, and it was like bad. I was out for over a year with it. For that point, the people at the club were saying, don't worry, at the very least we'll take your option up. Right, well, a lesson to anybody watching, get things in writing. Don't take people at face value, because that's not what happened. I got to the end of the season, we had 1 game left, I think we were playing Spurs away, and there was a deadline for taking my option. They hadn't taken my option up at that point, but what they'd done is emailed through 2 contract offers, one if we stayed up and one if we went down, and both of them were less than what I was on. Yeah. After being told that we'll get you a new contract in improved terms, at the very least you'll get your option taken, to then say, actually, potentially you could be earning more than half what you're earning right now. Bearing in mind I get injured training. I know it can happen, but I wasn't looked after properly, so anyway I left, and that was me on a free transfer, but I was still injured. Yeah. At that point I was still injured. I had to go and get another operation. I'd been out for 7 months, come back training, done all the stuff, felt a wee bit of pain in the outside of my knee, and I was going in supposedly just for a clean up, like a wee flush out to get any wee bits of, whether it's bone or cartilage that are floating about, just to clean it up and get ready for pre-season. And I needed to get another procedure, and that was me. So I was out for over a year. Once I get back fit, I was trialling, training at Wolves. They'd offered me a contract. I was offered to go and train up at Celtic, but then David Moyes phoned me and says, will you come back? And as soon as he asked me to come back, that was it. I wasn't going anywhere else.
Were you never tempted by Celtic or anything?
I was tempted, but I knew when I says to you earlier, the manager, the way he was on me every day was hard to deal with.
Aye.
But once I was out of that environment, I almost craved that again.
Aye.
Like being on you every day and putting a demand on you, and just the way he spoke to me, like I always got on fine with him, and we left on good enough terms. And every time I seen him, I'd speak to him. But the way that he spoke to me to ask me to come back was enough for me. Aye. And there was still a lot of same players at the club, but obviously same staff were there. I knew the club inside out. I knew that I was trying to get fit, that how he worked and trained every day, that was the best place for me. Mm. If I was able to go and train every day, I'd be fit, I'd be ready to go and contribute. It didn't work out because, I mean, I was still chasing. I signed a contract at the end of the season. There was, bonuses or stipulations in there where if I played a certain amount of games, then a 2-year contract activated and things like that. It didn't happen, but I don't regret going back. It was a no-brainer for me to go back there.
I get it. It's gone back somewhere where you're comfortable and know the environment. See when you're moving about all these clubs, one question I've always wanted to ask somebody is, you obviously stayed wherever you stayed when you were at Everton, and then you went to, are you just renting houses all the time, or are you buying gaffs all the time as well? Like, what's it like?
Some people rent. Some people, when I moved, I was like, growing up, homeboy. I'm not living anywhere else. I'm happy here. I like being at home. And then I moved to Everton. A long year there. Bought a house. I just bought a new house by the time I was in it for a few months, and that was me away. And then when I moved to Birmingham, rented for a year to find. I don't even know if I made it a year. I think I rented for a year. But where I lived in Solihull, I was like, I think I could stay here. So I bought a house. And it was always, because you're young and you're not planning too much for the future. If I'd signed a 5-year contract, I was expecting to stay there for 5 years.
Aye.
And maybe beyond, or find somewhere to base, have a base. But, as the way it turned out, spoke to you about the injuries, then you start going year to year, then my base was up here. But I bought, and that's fine when you're there and you're living there. See, when you need to sell it, when you're selling it because you've moved away, it's quite tough to deal with. But I was always wanting to buy and try and put roots down and be part of whatever club I was involved in.
So you went back to Everton, then you went to Sunderland, was it?
Aye, I left Everton. What happened? I left Everton, I come up and I was training, because I've got 4 kids, so it was easier for us to be based here, for my wife to get help off family. So I think I was in training at Motherwell, and they were, I think they just finished second actually. I think they were playing a Champions League qualifier. So I was training at Motherwell. I got a phone call for Steve Walford, who's Martin O'Neill's assistant, saying, "Alright, how are you? What's happening?" I says, "I'm training at Motherwell." He's like, "Do you want to come down and we'll have a look at you?" It's like, "Absolutely." So go down to Sunderland, train for, I don't even know how long. It's funny, I remember things for 20 years ago. So trained for a few days or weeks, and then spoke to Martin, and he's like, "Listen, we want to offer you a contract." I was like, "Great." Obviously I must have done well. Thankfully I went in training at Motherwell, because it got me to a level where I could go and train and be fit enough and sharp enough. But it was only a 3-month contract, and the club weren't doing well, and it wasn't a great time like mentally it was fine. Just in terms of football, I didn't play much, and it got to the end of that 3 months in January, and that was it. My contract was up. I didn't say I was leaving. They didn't say you're leaving, but I just didn't get offered another contract. It was quite weird. We had a day off the day my contract ran out, so I just didn't turn up the next day because I didn't have a contract. It was quite weird, but so a 3 month spell. I had 3 appearances. I think we won 1 game out of my 3 appearances, but I got to play at Old Trafford and Anfield again. So that was quite good.
So see, you say that day after your contract's done, like today, is that it? You just go up the road and that's it done?
I just went here. I was travelling. I wasn't travelling up and down every day, but I was travelling up and down. Any day off, I'd go home. It was only 2 hours. I'm in Hamilton, so it's no far. And it was, I mean, the club. I don't know if you've watched the Sunderland thing behind the scenes, but so it was in the aftermath of that. The club wasn't in a great place. Fighting for points, obviously, and I'm sure the manager of the Lotto, and we spoke more to Steve Walford probably. He's like, right, we'll see you next week. I says, well, my contract's up, I'll not be back. And he's like, no, don't worry, we'll get it sorted. And it didn't get sorted, so I don't know if it was one of them where I wasn't playing anyway. It was I just like, I'm not going down hanging about like a bad smell. I'd already hung about for 3 months like a bad smell, but that was it. Just my contract's up. Right, what do I do next? And then I went back in training at Motherwell.
It's mad how that works. Just see you later.
I wasn't even see you later. Just, I'll see you next week. You won't see me next week. I'll not be here. Aye. That's what it was like. Everybody thought I was kidding on. I was like, I'll not be back.
Oh man. But obviously back to Motherwell, would that have been your second or third?
This is my second spell.
You trained with him?
I was training with him, so I went back, I was training, and then it was like, you get in that stage. I went to Everton, I played, 7 or 8 games. I went to Sunderland, I played 3 games. I'd played in 3 games. I probably played a grand total of 40 minutes or something in the 3 games, 45 minutes. So you're telling everybody, no, I'm fine, but you're nothing to back it up because you're not playing. So I went back to Motherwell. They'd offered me a contract to the end of the season. I thought, well, I'd be as well just going and playing. There's nowhere else I was going apart from Motherwell. I'd be as well just going and playing, get myself fit, get back in the short window. I was still aspirations to play for Scotland, get back in the short window and just get back playing. And they were doing well at the time. They were flying, so it was quite good because I got time to get a wee bit fit because the team were doing well, and it was great environment for me. Again, a place I know and love. People still there for when I left 10 years before, and I went back and I done well. Played the last 11, 12 games, get 5 goals, about the same amount of assists. Feeling good, part of a team that finished the season in second place as well, which was great. So it kind of reignited me. As I said, I was hoping to get in the Scotland squad. I probably should have, but it wasn't it to be.
I want to talk a bit about your Scotland career as well. Obviously, everybody will always talk about your goal against France. In fact, I got a picture actually the other week for Peter Martin, which you've signed. Peter Martin gave me, but obviously that Scotland goal, obviously everyone's always going to talk about that. See about your whole career, is that the one thing you think people always bring up? You think that's the...
Aye, and it's good and bad because it's great to talk about it because of what it meant to so many people.
Aye.
The amount of people that have told me they were in the stadium, people have been honest and says I was there but I missed it because it was a goal kick and didn't think anything was going to happen. And that side of it is great. It's something that obviously I can't forget because people keep reminding me. But on the flip side of that, there's other people that have got the horrible side and go, all you ever done was score 1 goal.
Aye.
Which I know they're no daft.
Aye.
But it is quite annoying because I scored 15 for Scotland.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is in terms of Scotland goal scorers. So, but the majority is all positive. People want to talk about it. That is great.
And you get 48 Scotland caps.
Aye.
48. Like, I take it when you were back at Motherwell trying to get back in that Scotland team, you were trying to get to that 50. Or was that not even a thing?
No, I just wanted to play again.
Aye.
I wasn't thinking I need to get to 50 caps.
Aye.
I mean, if I'd got rewarded for the performances and got to 49, I'd have been buzzing.
Aye.
I wouldn't have thought, just could have got one there. I just wanted to play again. I actually thought I should have. I thought that spell when I come back, I done well enough to get back in. But it wasn't to be. I'm no bitter about not getting 2 extra caps.
Aye.
I'm genuinely so delighted I get 48 for my country.
Aye.
You know what I mean? So I wouldn't ever let that ever be a negative.
Aye.
That you only got 48, you're only 2 short. No, I got 48 caps.
Yeah, I've got like OCD. That would get to me. I'd be like, yeah.
Well, if it's an odd number, I'd agree with you. If it was on 47, 9, 5, then I'd maybe think, I'm not really, like my 15 goals, it's great, but it could have been 16 where it's even. I'm OCD with the even number.
48's 48 a lot more than anybody else ever got.
It's 48 more than I thought I would get, so
Aye.
I'll take that all day long.
You obviously had a fairly long Scotland career. You obviously worked under Big Eck and Bertie Vogts. Obviously, was Big Eck the main man for you in Scotland, or did you enjoy?
No, it was because of how I responded to him, and I knew he liked me.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't start me all the time. I mean, I wasn't slow in telling him that I didn't like when I didn't start games, but he just knew how to deal with me. He knew that I'd get annoyed, and he could deal with it. He's just a great people person. I think he's just a great person, all in everyday life. I think everybody that meets him will say he's a brilliant person. He's a brilliant manager, and I love that. I love Bertie Vogts. Bertie Vogts gave me a lot of trust and responsibility, showed a lot of faith in me as a young player, and I'll never forget that. People bring up the fact they called me a cheeky boy, and people used to call me it and think it annoyed me.
Aye.
I thought it was great.
That's a thing you had respect for, isn't it? It's just
so I love Bertie Vogts got a bad rep because you'd an aging squad that just missed out in qualifying for 2002, and a lot of them retired.
Yeah. You
had some really good younger ones that were already part of that squad. There was too many players that there was to fill a squad that there was no obvious people.
Aye.
And I think if another manager or a more experienced, maybe Scottish manager came in at that point, I think that they would have tried to convince a squad of players that had retired for the right reasons to continue. And they probably maybe would have, and maybe they'd have got another campaign, but I think it would have been, you'd have just been kicking the problem down the line.
Aye.
You still had to address the fact that we've not got a lot of players that are ready to play international football. Bertie Vogts came in, fresh eyes, didn't care, right? Who's available for Scotland? Like a computer game.
Aye.
Who's available? Get them out, let me see them, and I'll tell you if they're good or no. And there was a lot of shit.
Aye.
I was there was a lot of shit, but he was willing to go and filter through it. I came through, managed to go and play loads of times. Dan Fletcher came into the squad as a 18, 19-year-old that hadn't played at Man United. Come in, let's have a look. Some players were good, some were terrible. The terrible ones were on the scene again. The good ones got a chance to go and flourish. Played a lot of us got caps, maybe too young, or younger than you would expect, and played games maybe we shouldn't have. But he was building a squad. Fletch, barring his illness, would be the record cap holder.
Aye.
Captain the country at 21. Bertie Vogts was brave enough to go and do that. So, as much as it ended badly, we got to a playoff, and he was willing to do the job that I don't think anybody else would have done.
Aye, it was a tough ask. But obviously, going back to your career, got back on your feet at Motherwell. You then ended up at St Johnstone. How the hell did you end up at St Johnstone? I know, I no disrespect to St Johnstone, but
They just won the cup that year. I went back to Motherwell, and my whole thing was to get fit, get back playing. I think it was 28, 29, and maybe get a move back down to England, playing as high a level as I could. So, but then I enjoyed it that much that I was offered a contract, an extension with Motherwell. The thing was, let's come in and see how it goes and just help us get to the end of the season. We'll help you and you help us. But then they offered me a new contract, and I thought, you know something, Stuart McCall was a manager. He was great. I loved the way he went about his work. Great person again, man manager. We had some good players, and I thought, with European games, I thought, do you know what, I'm happy here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy. I'm gonna sign on. My regret at that point was they offered me a 3 or a 4 year contract, and I took a year's contract. And then, as much as I'd done well in that spell, I started to then get wee niggles again.
aye,
But because I'd only had a year, I'm like, I can't be injured. I was injured, but I can't be injured.
Yeah.
I need to be available, I need to play. So you're playing with knocks and stuff that you normally wouldn't. And I'm not saying that I would have relaxed because I had a longer contract, but I wouldn't have tried to force something that I knew shouldn't have happened anyway. I was experienced enough. I knew that I should have taken time off, but I wanted to play. I wanted to show everybody I was good. I wanted to help the team. If I had a wee bit longer in my contract, I'd have probably looked after the injuries a bit better.
yeah,
And wouldn't have rushed it and forced it. That'd probably be more like that. So anyway, I get to the end of the season, I'm niggled, I'm in and out of the team, I'm getting hamstrings here and there. And come to the end of the season, I wasn't on great money. For Motherwell, it was good money, but clearly wasn't worth what they were. I wasn't getting value, they weren't getting value. So I left, and I was training with Partick Thistle. A phone call for, I think Stephen McLean got injured at St Johnstone. Phone call for Tommy Wright to say, do you want to come in and train? I was like, no problem. I love playing football. I love training. I was only 31 maybe. I wasn't ready to stop. So I went, trained for a day, saw enough, offered me a contract, and I just wanted to play.
aye,
So it didn't bother me. I wasn't like, I'm not playing for St Johnstone.
aye,
I was like, great, get an opportunity. The team's just won the Scottish Cup. They've got a good squad of players. Get back playing, show everybody I'm able to play and see what it takes us. At that point, I was like, I want to go and play in America. So I had a break my contract in January, where if I got a chance to go to America, then I could leave on a free, and that was worked in fine because Steve McLean's injury was due to be back anyway. So I got an offer to go to America, but it was the NASL, I think. And I thought, I've got myself fit, I'm in the team, scored a couple of goals, I'm feeling good. Tommy Wright was like, I don't want you to go, you're doing well, I want you in the team. And I'm like, 2.5 year contract in New York, what an opportunity. So I'll wait then. If he's going to play me, I'll wait.
yeah,
So I waited. I rejected it. Thought if I go and play and improve the way I have, then I might get MLS.
aye.
As soon as Stephen McLean was fit, I was out of the team. So I didn't get a chance to show. So thanks, Tommy.
And obviously, after that, you were at Queen of the South, and were you just still going, I'm no fun geeing up?
Well, so Queen of South training at Hamilton. I lived at Hamilton. Gary Naismith, who was amazing for me as a teammate, was a manager. So again, I was just like, it's alright if I come train. Just get fit, see what happens. Trained, signed a contract eventually, because I was miles off of fitness. And then go to January, my contract's up, and the guys gets 2 hands tied behind his back by his chairman. Took all his budget off him and couldn't afford to sign me on £200 a week.
Jeez.
And then I was still again trying to keep fit, and then I get the phone call for Big Eck to say, do you want to be my assistant in Scotland? And I was like, this is early in the day, he's not drinking. So, and this is before it was announced. I was like, you getting the job? He's like, yep. absolutely, I'm there.
Did you your badges not at that time? I take it coming up to the end of your career, you probably done your badges or whatever.
In fact, so back to Motherwell for St Johnstone to train and keep fit. Matt McGee offered me a contract, so I thought I was going to America. I went out to Philadelphia, I thought I was going to America. Stevie Robinson was the assistant. He left to take up a job somewhere. Can't remind who it was. I think it might have been Oldham or Morecambe, I don't know. And Matt McGee needed an assistant. I was injured and I was at training and he's like, you get your badges? I says, I've started my B, but I've no managed to get round to it. He's like, do you want to be my assistant? I was like, no, I'm still trying to play. He said, you can do both. So I took it. I took the player assistant. He was lying. I couldn't do both. He didn't want me to play. He knew I was done. So I went and get my B. Then I done my A licence. So by that point, I'd just had to do my assessment for my A licence by the time I'd get the Scotland gig.
And obviously now you're doing your punditry. Would you never think getting back into kind of coaching or anything like that?
I think it's always in you. I think there's always I watch games and it's no that I want to be a manager, but I just get busier with the punditry that the jobs that I would have to go for. And it's not this, I was willing to do it. Just see how football's always unstable, but how unstable it is and how kind of settled it is for me here. I watch games. I don't think I could do that job, but the manager's doing and this tactic and that tactic. But I look at players and think I think I could make them better. And not because I'm a genius, but just wee things you could maybe help them add to their game. How they control the ball, the decision making. I do feel I could help that, but there's not enough time in the day for me. The amount of games that I do, everybody slaughters me for it. But I just love football. I just love going to games, watching it, and talking about it. Never say never. It's something that I do think. I think it's there for me, but I'm enjoying every guy that I speak to that's done a wee bit of punditry, coaching, in the back end coaching and management go, oh, it's so stressful. Don't do it. But it's either in you or it's no. But I'm happy now. I watch a game, I can enjoy it, I can get passionate about it. See, as soon as it's done, I get home and I go to sleep.
Aye.
Coaches and managers don't. They don't sleep. They don't.
Stressed all night.
So I'm happy now.
Good. But I appreciate you coming in, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.